This Father's Day weekend, we're celebrating dads the Texas way with rods in hand. Whether you're chasing reds inshore or dolphin offshore,
or big bass in lakes, we've got the hot bite, wind conditions, and the weekend weather to help you put your dad on the fish. So let's get to catching on the Texas Insider Fisher Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
You're watching the Texas Insider Fishing Report, and we have an all-star lineup for y'all tonight, starting with Captain Rick Murphy being back with us from celebrating his birthday. How we feeling, birthday boy? We know you celebrated for the whole month.
And we went with all my buddies from Texas, went down to Bolivia to shoot some doves and pigeons. Had a wonderful time.
Oh.
The food was unbelievable. The company was great.
You had a good time.
I had a great time.
You deserve it.
Yeah, but it's nice to get back to work.
Time to be back.
And next to you, baby.
We missed you.
Well, I missed you too.
All right, well, we're also celebrating Father's Day this weekend, so let's say hi to Dave Farrell at the Parts View Workbench before we get our first captain on. Hello, Dave.
I am a father.
You are a father.
Hard to believe, but
they're the father
true.
of the Workbench.
Yeah, I had a big weekend too. I had a kid graduation, so
Whoa.
like Rick's birthday month is all of
The other things.
June. My daughter's kind of taken over the month of June for her graduation now.
All right, there you go.
Well, there
That's
we
good,
go.
that's
We got
good.
it. We got all the dad things
I forgot
going on,
about
plus
Father's Day
birthdays.
coming. It's all about me this weekend too.
It is. Oh, you get 2 weeks in a row. All right, well, we're getting Pops ready for the Jetties in the Upper Coast region for a run-in with the Bulls. So let's get Captain Mickey Eastman to the starting line. Hello, Mickey.
Well, hello, everyone. Everybody good today?
We're doing great.
So good.
Tell us about your
All right.
region, bub.
Well,
What's
cool.
up?
Fishing's on fire up here, here in Galveston Bay. Nothing like it. Let's get started with speckled trout. For Galveston Bay right now, the north and south jetties, they're still good. They're still catching a lot of trout on live shrimp, free shrimp with split shot, and using a number 8 treble hook and soft plastic jigs. Fish close to the rocks. Fish an 1/8-ounce jig head with a mirror-lured Little John or a Gulf Turbo shrimp. Should be good. Campbell Bay's been good for trout near Pelican Island, Sand Island, and all the rock groins. And fish along those rock groins in about 2 to 4 feet of water on those islands with Top Dog Juniors and Bass Assassin paddle baits. Use that slamming chicken color. It's working good right now. West Bay, the shallow flats and guts around the sandbars are producing better-sized trout, especially on soft plastic and topwaters near San Luis Pass on that incoming tide in the mornings. And East Bay, it's starting to produce some really nice trout over mid-bay oyster reefs with these calmer winds and a full moon phase. Live shrimp and soft plastics are working best, and a full moon in June produces a major spawn for speckled trout. Water clarity's fair to good, 85 degrees. Upper back bays, they're still producing really good numbers of trout in 3 to 5 foot of water on soft plastics. And Sabine Lake, pretty much the same. Trout numbers are really picking up on the lower channel and the jetties as winds continue to lay down. Water clarity is kind of marginal with all that freshwater flow, but dark-colored soft plastics, they're working best on the sunny days, and on those cloud-covered days, use chartreuse and white. And the bayous and drains remain consistent along that Louisiana shoreline. Bass Assassins and Little Johns are working really good, and the outgoing tide along that shoreline around those drains are bringing clean, cool water out of the back lakes and marsh, and it's producing a strong bite with ideal conditions. Look for diving gulls out deep over shell in 5 to 6 feet of water. Throw soft plastics on a 1/4-ounce jig head. That'll get you going. Water clarity's fair and 84 degrees. This week's speckled trout photo is Captain Steve Hillman in Galveston. And let's go to redfish. Galveston jetties north and south are still on fire for redfish. Bull redfish action's hot. Using live shrimp tied to the rocks with finger mullet. Tidal flow is critical. Water temp 85 degrees. Conditions are good. And redfish action's been fair to good along all the rock groins in the upper and lower Galveston Bay on live shrimp and Gulf. The spoil islands along the ship channel in the Upper Bay complex has really been good along rock ledges in 3 to 5 feet of water on Gulf shrimp and spinner baits. So fish shallow around the Rock Island and Campbell Bay, that's been producing some nice reds over there too. Gulf turbo shrimp and shallow running crankbaits are your best bet. Water's fair and 83 degrees. in Sabine Lake red fishing, it's been fair to good. It kind of depends on the conditions over there. Best area has been the east shoreline, fishing real tight against the bank from Adams Johnson's Bayou to Blue Buck Point, and fish about 1 to 3 feet of water. Bass Assassins, top waters, working really good around drains and points. And like I said, again, just fish tight to that shoreline. Those reds have been really shallow. And when the tides are bulled up, the back lakes and marsh ponds and bayous are good too. And Sabine jetties, they've been fair for reds, when the winds are down and conditions are favorable. And look for redfish out in the middle of the lake under slicks, birds, and mud boils, and throw soft plastic and crankbaits at those fish out there. It's really been good when the winds are down. And this week's redfish photo, that's courtesy of Captain Bill Watkins over at Sabine Lake. And bull reds, can't say enough about them. We're covered up with them in all aspects. I mean, the bite's extremely good near the jetties and the passes and in the Gulf along the beachfront. And a lot of these guys are using whole gizzard shad and cup mullet and fish along the bottom on a Carolina rig. That's working best. And this week's bull red photo, that was caught by Hudson Moon. And then red snapper, we had a pretty good start to the season. The winds were down. We got 107 days of snapper season that just kicked off. So opening day, the seas were calm, but the catches were fair and not what most expected. But the best size snapper, the guys that went out about 60 to 80 miles, they caught the big ones and a lot of them. And this week's red snapper photo, that's Captain Sharky Marquez with Outcast Charters.
Yeah, it sure is, man. A lot of red, white, and blue there, buddy. Thank you so much this week, Mickey. You did a great job starting us off. We're going to go ahead and look at the hot spots from the Upper Coast region. Galveston Bay, redfish on the jetties. Also, West Galveston Bay near San Luis Pass, Campbell Bay, Lower Galveston Bay, Ship Channel, and East Galveston Bay for all those big redfish that he was talking about, Bree.
You can emphasize the big redfish part
Whoa.
because, wow, that picture was insane. But we've got a lot to talk about in the Upper Fresh region, especially with the Skeeter Boat Owners Tournament last weekend. But let's talk about a little bit of fishing on Lake Lavon first with Mike McFarland. Mike, looking good back there. What did you do?
We finally got in the studio. I'm sorry, we were filming from the couch inside the house. We got Starlink, we got the bridge, and we got it now. So I'm very grateful to be in the studio. And Captain, great to have you back. Dave, everybody.
Thank you.
Awesome. I got a lot to tell you. And happy birthday, Captain. I got a lot to tell you. The Skeeter event was so incredible here. I can't wait to tell you guys about what happened.
All right.
So let's go. Let's take about Lavon. The black bass were really good on Lavon. Terry Thorne said spinnerbaits in the morning, finding them around with shallow riprap, concrete, submerged bridges, brush piles. Main Lake Points are your best locations. And then, of course, later in the day, go to the Berkeley Max Scent creature baits. Any of those creature baits, Texas style on the rock piles and in the large brush piles, 10 to 14 foot is going to do good on Lavon. Ray Hubbard. Ray Hubbard is full pool, gates wide open. Berkeley topwater baits are catching them good in the morning around shallow rock areas, marina slips, and seawalls. You're finding good bass on the offshore rock piles later in the day using trick worms on shaky head. Best colors, blue fleck, green pumpkin, chartreuse tail. Now let's tell you about Lake Fork, but I'm so excited to tell you, honored to be with Skeeter Boats and run a Skeeter boat with a Yamaha, but to see 1,100 boats on this lake all at once on one day, Saturday, 1,600 anglers was unbelievable. It was just like a sight to see. Boats were everywhere, and let me tell you what, the lake produced. Skeeter hosts some of the best awesome tournaments, the giveaways, and the things that they did for the anglers. But listen, Lake Fork produced 17 fish over the slot, over 24 inches. That is unheard of bass fishing for a day and a half event. Lots of people made a lot of money. And listen, Mr. Michael Fegan lands a 10-pound, 4-ounce bass, tops 1,600 anglers, and wins the 31st annual Skeeter Boat or annual Boat Owners Tournament, where they give him a brand new FXR 20 Apex powered by a Yamaha. Can you imagine being just a local angler, not a pro, and win something that big?
That's so awesome, bub. Way to go.
Awesome. Yes. So, and here's a great picture of a friend of mine that was pre-fishing for the tournament, a big one that he caught with me a couple mornings before the tournament started.
Nice. All right, what else you got this week?
I got crappie this week from Jackie Wiggins. The crappie fishing is heating up just like the temps. He said they're really getting on the structure. You can find them all over the lake in depths of 14 to 32 foot. If you look for the white crappie, they're going to be more on the timber and the brush piles. The black crappie tend to be more on the harder rock piles, brush piles, laydowns, underwater bridges, road beds, etc. He says that they're still in the post pond where they're eating just about anything you put in front of them. But remember, if you're struggling with the hand-tied jigs or soft plastics, go to a minnow and you'll absolutely clean them up. I really like this picture. Jackie always fills the tables really well, but this picture shows it I love the layout. It's just a really neat, clean layout here. And those are some really big Lake Fork crappie.
They sure are. Tell us about the stripers and the white bass.
Stripers and the white bass on Levon are really actually very good. With the gates open, there's no pattern. You just got to go out and go look for them. Top water in the morning, swim bait bite real shallow. I'm feeding on the shad. Look for the birds. The birds will line the bank. It'll tell you where to be. Lake Tawakoni, Matt says, it's real finicky right now. It's over, spillways going and it's over pool. The hybrids are very hit and miss. Deep bait, or drifting live bait deep is really the best pattern right now. However, the white bass are excellent. They're schooling early and late, slab spoons on the points. But look, when they do connect on Tawakoni, when they're drifting that live bait, look at the size of this striper that came in last week with Matt Cartwright.
Man.
This is a giant striper right here.
Nice. That is a big one. Way to go. Thanks for getting us that picture. Tell us about the catfish.
Absolutely. Catfish are really good on all our lakes here. Just about if you just use cut bait, any point, every hump, the backwaters. I was looking for some bass the other day in 2 foot of water and saw catfish. So, anything with cut shad, you're going to catch catfish in these parts. That's what I got for you this week, guys. Real grateful to be here and Captain, have you back.
Man, I like that you graduated from the casting couch now into the studio. I love it. Keep up the good work, Mike. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots for the Upper Fresh region. What do you guys got such a bad look on your face? Lake Athens is offering excellent early morning topwater action. Hit the main lake grass points in the first 2 hours of the day with the Berkeley Bullet Pop 70 in any shad color, of course.
Wow, Rick, we really did miss you. We really did.
I can say that to a guy. I didn't violate any HR rules.
No, of course not.
It's a dude thing.
It's you sit on a couch and you cast,
He was
right?
talking about
That's
he was
what
on the
you're
couch.
talking about.
Okay,
All right, when we come back, we're checking back in with our Lower Coast Region Captain, Chad Kinney, on how to find those reds. But first, Dave's giving us a little how-to himself with a Parts View workbench for rigs and techniques.
Yes.
Talking about
Look at
not
him
a casting.
sporting a flat brim.
We're talking about triple tail.
Triple
Nice.
tail.
Yes. We're talking about triple tail.
Ooh la la.
One of my favorite fish to eat in the whole world.
Trash bag. Doesn't taste like it though. We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio. Blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. Fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. Prospect Smoked Meats. Fuel your day the Texas way. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Well, as you can see, I'm back here at the Parts View workbench with my good buddy Dave Farrell. And Dave,
Yes, sir.
I know you love catching triple tails all throughout the Gulf of America.
Yeah, they're a big deal around where I live. So we catch a lot of big ones, and but right now is the time to catch them in Texas. The springtime. They move out into the Gulf in some areas, and in Matagorda area, the springtime they move into the bay, and so there's a lot of them in Matagorda Bay this time of year, all the way through September. So that's a good place to get them. A triple tail is a weird looking fish. He looks like a giant crappie kind of.
Correct.
He's got a big dorsal lobe and a big anal fin, so it gives him that look that he has 3 tails, and that's why he's called a triple tail.
Right.
Now he spins. When he's little, they get in schools, big schools, and they'll get around piles of rope or any kind of debris offshore. You'll find
They like things floating, yes?
Yes,
Yeah.
they like to hang around floating things because that's how they eat. They're an ambush predator, and what they'll do is they'll pretend like they're a piece of that flotsam or whatever's floating in the water, and they'll float head down and just sit right up close to it, the buoy, the bucket, whatever it is. And when all the other little fish come and try to get in that bucket shadow to get some shelter, they get eaten because the triple tail's waiting for them. And when they're small, they're kind of like a yellowish black color. But by the time they get big, the time we were wanting to go after them, they get to be like a blackish gray and sometimes pure black color, because they lay right on the surface, and that black color protects their skin and everything from the sun, because they're laying in the sun all the time.
Right.
And what happens is it turns the triple tail into pretty much a buzzsaw all the way around. His skin is very thick.
Right.
He's got spines and stuff all over him. His dorsal spines and his pec fins, his gill covers, everything are sharp, incredibly sharp. So when you go to clean one of these things, which you're going to want to do, because they are really good to eat, when you want to clean one of these things, make sure you have a really sharp knife and a way to keep it sharp. Now, when we're catching them, they love to eat shrimp, crabs, even little pieces of cut bait. You can put a little piece of cut bait on a jig head, and they'll eat it just as soon as they will a live shrimp. But these gulp shrimp work really great as well. Put them on a jig head. Put them on a jig head under a popping cork.
Right.
A triple tail, when they're sitting next to their structure or whatever, they like to have that, whatever you're presenting as bait, they like it right in their face.
Right.
They don't like to swim around for their bait. Although I've had them come and eat stuff when I'm trolling, believe it or not, come skipping across the water like a frisbee and smack a trolling lure, but that's very rare. I've also had them eat big ballyhoos, when we've come up on a big piece of sargassum, because these triple tail will hang around that sargassum weed. And I've actually thrown ballyhoo to them that I've been trolling all day. And a big triple tail, once they get over 5 or 6 pounds, they will eat a whole ballyhoo for sure. But most of the ones we're catching, 5-6 pounders, they're going to want to eat a little jig like these, something that represents a small little bait fish of some sort, a little white bait. They love to eat little pinfish and shrimp, and that little bucktail does
little
that.
bucktails.
Yeah, and this is a great hook to use, a nice offset trocar Lancet offset hook. I think that's a TK3.
Right.
It's TK3.
The TK5.
Yeah, TK. Well, it's a 5/0.
A 3, but 5/0.
You're
That's right.
correct. I was incorrect. Sorry.
So anyway, you need a hook that's pretty stout, because these fish fight really hard, even for their size, because they use their flat sides against you during the fight. They'll turn over, roll over on their side, and really dog on you and try to get down on you and
they jump
start that
too.
pinwheel.
Those big ones will jump.
They will. They certainly will. They're very curious fish. They're like when you come up next to a buoy or something, sometimes they'll swim out to the boat and try to get a look at you. And you can chum them up really good. They'll if you start to get them eating chum, you'll catch every one that you see.
Right.
But usually you don't see a bunch of big ones in one spot. There's one here, there's one there. They're loners.
Right.
So they're going to be hanging around by themselves by one of these oil platforms or one of these rigs or any of these sort of stuff, because they're going to be trying
Very
to hide.
structure oriented.
Yeah, they love to hide and wait. And any kind of bass gear is good for them. 20-pound test fluorocarbon leader, 15-pound test braid, and a nice inshore bait caster like that Revo.
Yeah, with 20 pounds of drag.
Yeah,
Works
that's 25
really well.
pounds of drag, that little thing has.
I knew that.
You
All
knew
right,
that.
Bree.
And
All right,
boy,
Bree.
triple tail, they're not the prettiest fish, but they are so good to eat.
They're so good to eat.
So good. All right, we're welcoming back Captain Chad Kinney in the Lower Coast region, who's helping us fight the wind and find the fish. Good to have you back with us, Chad.
I'll tell you what, it's we've been battling a bunch of high winds down here and stuff. It looks like we're finally getting a little bit of break this weekend, so it's really looking good. Talking about some inshore stuff, trout fishing. It's been really good in the land cut, primarily because it's protected up there from the winds. Got a little bit better color water, a lot better fish up there. There's also some few redfish kind of mixed in the mix there, running down the ICW and up in some of those flats and out of his holes. So we're talking about some trout fishing first. Like I said, the trout fishing right now, it's a time of year we've been talking about for a while, but live croaker is working really, really good up in the land cut there. The best way to fish this stuff right there, guys, is right in those drop-offs. I mean, that land cut's real narrow. Those grass beds are right on the edge. You can kind of drive around, find them where the grass beds are at. You know, power pole down on those. Use some live croaker with some eagle claw kale hooks. 5 to 6 out in size right now. We might go up to a 7 out later on in the season when the bait gets bigger, but right now they're working really good. If you're fishing the drop off on the ICW a little bit deeper in that current, which it has been, the current's been moving, pretty good south when you get up there. If you're doing that, then add a little chatter weight to it, basically to help it get down in the water column a little bit better and let that bait work harder so you don't have to swim as hard and work that middle column to 8-9 feet down. And it's working really good like that. Also, a Rodan trolling motor works really good. If you get off on some of those guts right there and pitch under the corners, it works really good like that. And the key thing in this one is when you're fishing this, I tell my guys all the time, but sometimes people get it, some people don't. But just basically, it's real simple. Keep your rod tip up with that bait, and your free line or with a little chatter weight. Just do a little quick wrist twitch. Just kind of barely twitch it. Keep that bait off that grass bed, or just kind of get them moving, stuff like that. Once you get that bite, bend that rod straight to it. When the line gets tight, go ahead and set that hook and get on there. If it's starting to where you're missing too many, then go ahead and let them run a little bit and set the hook. But about 90% of the time when you do that, when you hook them, they're going to be hooked right on the side of the jaw there, and they'll be in good shape. So got a picture here of actually a friend of mine went to high school with years and years ago. I hadn't seen her for about 15, 20 years. She went out there and I saw her at Bonnie Harms there.
Nice.
She released a 27-inch trout, which is a good solid trout there for South Texas.
Absolutely.
So So moving over to redfish. Redfish have been kind of scattered, to say the least, guys. Hate saying, but with the winds and everything else, they've kind of moved out to deeper waters in the lower coast. Deeper water, what I'm talking about, normally they're up in 1, 2, 3 foot water. Deeper water is 4, 5, 6 foot to us. And I think some of that's due to winds, of course, and then also a lot of boat traffic, people hitting the flats, so they kind of naturally push out. So basically, the best thing to do is go up real shallow early, look for bait movement, look for wakes, look for everything else you can think of. Start from there. But when the winds really kick up, you get those wind rows going, and it's blowing 20, 25, 30. Then you got that muddier water, which it's going to be, even if it's 2 foot of water. Best thing to do right there is switch over to a popping cork with a gulp. We've been talking about since the beginning of the season. That's pretty much the Nemesis gulp. Prawn's been working really good, or that turbo shrimp working really good still, since there's some shrimp in the bay system, and they've been really hammering those. Just work that popping cork, but you got to really smash that popping cork and get it loud and going to attract them, because they don't have much sight in the color of the water there. Moving to offshore conditions, like I said, they haven't been too favorable because they've been rough, but the red snappers and in full effect. It's open. It's been really good if you can get out. And there's been some cobia popping up also around some of those snapper structures, any structure you can pretty much find. So red snapper season, like I said, it's open. It's been really good. Pretty much look for any structure you can find out in depths of, 50 foot with state waters, but pretty much in the federal waters, 100, 150, 200 feet, all the way up to 300 to 400 feet of the water. They're out there. Currents have been kind of higher up, due to the winds and stuff like that, which will subside, and they'll get a lot better here real quick, real soon. I expect that in a week or two, but basically you got to use a double drop rig, which is a double, weight bank and the weight in the bottom. You might have to go up to a 1 pound even like that, but basically a 13-aught eagle claw circle hook makes this work really good. With the higher currents, like I said, if you can, try to suspend it, but if not, those fish normally are going to be stuck to the bottom with the higher currents. They don't like to spend all their energy, so they want to be right tight on the bottom. So basically, just make your drifts through the column through there. And if you have a boat, if you're fortunate enough to have one that you can put a Rodan trolling motor on there, go ahead and anchor lock that thing right there, and you'll have a lot better chance. You'll see the current ripping out the back, so put your baits out the back and put it down the bottom. That's where those fish are going to be. So moving over there to cobia, like I said, we've been snapper fishing a bunch when we get out, and they're popping up out of nowhere. So that's how it happens down here in the lower coast, around structures or floating debris. Best way to get a shot at these things is while you're snapper fishing there, maybe throw a little bit of chum out the back, little piece of squid, menhaden, anything you got like that, and just kind of, when you see them come up, pitch bait to them, throw an eagle claw jig to them, trocar jig. These fish are, very curious. So basically, throw small pieces of chum to bait to let them feel comfortable, let them eat a few, but don't overfeed them. And then when they when they get there, throw a little pitch bait with a hook on it like that, and feed them like that, and hook them, hook set it, and you'll be in good shape.
Tell me about the picture, Chad. Yeah,
of cobia with James Dunks and Melinda Dunks there.
All right, man. Thank you so much. We appreciate the pictures. Tell Dunks we said hello, and we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the lower coast hotspots. Chad says that you want to go inshore due to some higher winds. Fish the land cut for trout and redfish along the ICW and the drop-offs. And then offshore red snapper season, it's open in state and federal waters with some of those cobias showing up around the structure. Remember, guys, be ready.
Be ready. But hey, y'all, if you're dreaming of blue water and big game, which who isn't, then listen up. The 44th annual Key West Marlin Tournament is set for July 23rd through the 26th during the heart of the legendary Key West Hemingway Days in Key West, Florida. Last year's tournament reeled in a whopping $268,000 in cash payouts from the Marlin and Funfish divisions. So bring your crew, bring the family. Key West is calling. Get all the details and lock in your spot now at keywestmarlin.com.
Now, I know there's a few teams from Texas already signed up, so come on, guys.
Yeehaw,
let's get there.
let's go. All right, the Heroes on the Water, Lower Fresh, and Prospects Middle Coast regions are giving Father's Day vibes with big catches and, of course, big smiles coming up next. And don't forget to stay up to date with everything fishing in Texas. Just scan the QR code on your screen. Follow us on social media, catch the latest fishing adventures on our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, and check out our show merchandise. Scan now. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. Abyss Battery. Power your pursuit. Rodan. Set it, forget it, catch more fish. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Penn. Let the battle begin.
Today's PowerPole tip: did you know you could run your PowerPole shallow water anchors or change all of your charging priority right from a Garmin fish finder? If you're running a Garmin GPS map or Eco Map, you have that ability. But what I like to see is my charge data right on the screen. I have the ability to see my voltages throughout the day, and I could change my priority button by simply pressing my fish finder. Another thing I like is I can initiate an emergency start if my big outboard won't start, and I will get that engine started and get back to the dock. I can also run my PowerPole anchors. If you have duals, you can run them both at the same time, or you can lift them independently. To learn more about the PowerPole charge and Garmin integration, go to powerpole.com or the Garmin website. And that's your PowerPole tip of the week.
And a good tip it is, Rick.
Yes, it is.
All right, well, we know Lake Falcon is the big bass hero in the Heroes on the Water Lower Fresh region, but wait until you see the specials coming up for your Father's Day weekend with Matt Reed. The fishing is truly on fire, Matt, or maybe it's just the guide. I don't know.
Could be either one, Bree, but no, I tell you what, we're going to start off talking about Falcon. It's just fishing incredibly well right now. I just ended a 16 consecutive day stretch. It's just produced tons of big ones. As we get further into summer, they're sliding a bit deeper. Rock is by far the dominant structure. And there are a bunch of fish still in that 10 to 12 feet of water, but I'm starting to catch some of my big ones out as far as 17 or 18 feet. The 3/8 ounce shaky head with that Berkeley Max Scent hit worm on it has been my number one choice. The other big fish pattern is to target man-made brush piles. The best presentation for that is just a basic Texas rigged 10-inch blue fleck or plum Berkeley power worm. You need to get down south and come get in on some of the Falcon specials that's going on down there. All right. Brian Cotter sent me a report from the Austin area. Lake Travis is fishing great. The bass are on the verge of their summer schooling because the water is hitting that 80-degree temps. So look for them in the marina areas, in the deep coves. That's where they're going to push up in surface school. But most of the fish he's catching right now are being caught on Texas rig worms and swim baits around the grass that are on the channel swings in the main lake. Some of the bigger bass are on the outside, deeper edge, especially if you can find some isolated patches. There's also some good bass out on the deeper ledges in that 20 to 30 feet of water. Football jigs are a great way to target those fish. Lake Buchanan is fishing really well. The bigger bass are being caught on the rock piles in that 5 to 15 foot of water. Jigs, swim baits, and Texas rig soft plastics are your best presentations on those rock piles. If you like to flip trees, there's a pretty good bite going flipping the trees right now. And we're just beginning to get that topwater bite to kick in. So that's a great way to get in on some explosive action around the rocky points and shallow ledges. Lake Bastrop is also doing well. The bass are schooling in the mornings in the discharge there at the power plant. Those small swim baits, fluke-style baits, and jerk baits. After they go down, a Texas rig worm or a shaky head finesse worm will pick up some of those fish that have gone down to the bottom. Later, you want to move down to the lower end of the lake around the dam, and the schoolies are starting to kick in down there midday. You want to throw top waters and tiny swim baits, little bitty stuff. Some of the stuff's as small as what you'd fish for crappie with, 2-inch minnow style baits. But that's the size of the shad, so that's what they're targeting. Greg Boykin report from Somerville. The largemouth are biting fairly well early. You need to target the shallow water with swamp lard frogs or buzz baits. The local rain we've had has kept them up there in that shallow cover. After the sun gets a little high, they're moving just outside, a little deeper off the rocky banks. Light Carolina rigs and shaky heads with green pumpkin or black stick baits have been your best choice. If that bite goes away, move out and target those brush piles at 10 to 15 foot of water and look for some continued action. I've got 4 bass picks there. I kind of hogged the pictures this week. These are all from Falcon this week.
Nice.
I've got Randy in the first one, Daniel in the second one. Wes and Pistol bring up the rear with those 4 big old fish. It's just amazing how many big ones we've caught in the last week or two.
Look how happy everyone is.
Man, there's only one guy that's looking at these pictures that ain't happy, and he's the one talking right now. I wish I was on that. But I can't be everywhere, so tell me about the white bass and hybrids, big boy.
Well, we got to do that. Let's talk about the white bass and hybrids. Lake Somerville, white bass and hybrids have improved. Lipless cranks, bright chartreuse swim baits, and slab spoons in 6 to 12 feet of water in the Welk Park area and around the dam. Those schools are roaming, so once you find them, chase them with your electronics and stay on top of them. The Falcon Lake white bass are beginning to surface school on the lower end. Keep your eyes peeled for diving gulls just like you would in the saltwater. Any shad imitation will get bit. The Berkeley Jack is my go-to. They have to have that little shad imitator.
Yeah, you're right. It really works well. Thank you so much. You did well this week, Matt. Thank you. And we're going to go ahead and look at the hot spots from the lower fresh region. He says Lake Falcon largemouth bass fishing is incredible at the moment. Target the main lake rocks in 12 to 18 feet of water with shaky heads using a Berkeley Max Scent hitworm. And then if the white bass is your target, you should head to Somerville. The bright white swim baits and slab spoons around the dam area is going to fill your limit, Bree.
Well, Rick, it's time to head to the coast, and the Prospects Middle Coast region, it seems to be the promised land for your Father's Day weekend with unlimited Prospect smoked meats and good fishing to boot, plus a grade A captain, Bink Grimes. You can't go wrong.
Nope.
Go for it, Bink.
Lots of smoked meats and lots of good fishing. June's my favorite month. There's just so many opportunities. East Bay, West Bay, the surf, the jetty, the back lakes, wade, drifting. I've been doing all of it lately. The best incoming tides of the year happen during this first half of June, and it happens every sunrise. Topwater bite's been really good. Mirror she pups and she dogs in the surf have been hot. Bass Assassins and Little Johns have been a good soft plastic choice. We worked sand and grass and worked around the slicks to catch lots of catch and release trout. That south shoreline of West Matagorda Bay has been good on most days. I did that this week, wading the flats on the high tides with a ticket. Most of those trout have been hanging about 40 to 50 yards off the shoreline, and they are over sand and grass. In Port O'Connor, protected shorelines close to Pascoval has been good for the solid trout. Topwater bite's been good throughout the day, especially while fishing the major and minor moon phases. We're on a really bright moon right now, so you really got to watch when that moon's falling and setting. East Bay drifters, we found fish in the usual haunts while drifting with shrimp and Bass Assassins, and lots of gulps have produced fish. Waders have worked the mid-bay reefs on calm weather for trout to 6 pounds. We caught trout to 6 pounds on Bass Assassins this week, and multiple 4 to 5 pounders while drifting with those Gulp dragon tails in that Scooby color, and then that turbo shrimp in the camo color and the new penny. I mean, those Gulps have really, really been paying off for us. Jetty anglers around Freeport and Surfside are getting their first taste of the summer speck run around the rock. Best baits have been menhaden and shrimp. but pluggers have walked the shorelines early throwing those topwaters. A photo, this week's trout was caught by Carlton Gore on a camo-colored Berkeley Gulp shrimp under a mid-coast popping cork. Like I said, that Gulp turbo shrimp has been producing. Redfish action. Waders have found redfish tight to the grass with these bloated tides. Back lakes in Port O'Connor have been good for live baiters, tossing gulps and bass assassins. Best bet for reds continue to be along the beach. Slot-sized reds have been caught in the first gut. Bull reds are good on the deep side of the second sandbar and off the tip of the Matagorda jetty. Also a lot going on the surf side in Port O'Connor jetties. I was around the Port O'Connor jetties this week, and man, there's just a lot of boats in about 65 foot of water working on those bull reds, catch and release. It's been really good, a lot of fun for them. Allen's Bite, the back lakes in Rockport and the flat Redfish Bay have been holding good redfish while tossing bass assassins under a popping cork. Offshore action, red snapper's been the game here lately. Freeport, Matagorda, Port O'Connor, really good while dropping sardines at 30 to 40 foot of water. The bigger ones have been coming in about 300 foot of water. Heavier snappers about 20 pound range, but a lot of people have been getting out on this 126 day snapper season. Lots of bull redfish out there as well. Sharks are roaming the surface. Triple tail are showing up along the weed lines, chicken dolphins, the same. There's a lot of floating fargassum out there providing cover for those anglers, drifting those mats, sight casting those chicken dolphin and to those triple tail. Like I said before, June is a great month for the Project Smokehouse Middle Coast region. Lots and lots of opportunities to catch just about anything. Our fishery is producing lots of healthy speckled trout. It's coming back after the freeze. It's for good conservation. Grab a stick of that dried Project sausage and make a morning of it. Please take care of our fishery. Please. And remember, catch and release is cool, and things are looking up on the Middle Coast.
Bink, what are we doing for Father's Day this weekend with the family? What you got planned?
Well, I'm going to go to church, and I'm probably going to go to the Astros ball game. So.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Oh.
That sounds fun. Hopefully you'll get a nice Prospect steak somewhere in the middle, and we'll enjoy that with you, because I know that Prospect called me and told me he's sending me a little bag and a little box for Dave. So we're going to get ready to celebrate a little Prospects ourselves. Thank you so much for batting fifth this week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the mirror lure hotspots from the Middle Coast region. Our man Bink says trout are good in Port O'Connor, on top waters on the incoming tide, and those bull redfish at the jetties in Matagorda, Port O'Connor, Port Aransas, and Freeport, and then offshore red snapper bite in federal waters on sardines and squid. Looks like every jetty in the Middle Coast region has got big bull reds. We need to go.
On fire.
Let's just go.
In time. All right, our final guide is giving us a sneak peek into your StarTron Middle Fresh region Father's Day weekend. But first, Dave Farrell might have some last-minute gift ideas for Talking Marine new products at the Parts View workbench. Are you still?
I don't know. I've got smoked meat on the brain
I knew it.
I won't be able to speak.
I was gonna say give some of the Savage Gear Bajios, but I don't know. Prospects would be good too.
Yeah, Prospect.
That's what you're getting.
It's coming, baby.
We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Fish to Win, Fenwick, Feel Everything, Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome, Heroes on the Water, Paddle, Fish, Heel, Turn on the Bite anytime, Tie on a Mirror Lure, Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA, and StarTron. Start, run, and store with StarTron.
Well, we're back here at the Taco Marine Trolling the Edge Parts View workbench. And you know what, Dave?
Yes, sir.
Let's get it on, man. Let's talk about these new products.
Well, we're going to start down there with the Pompano Assassin. That's a really cool thing that Rich Vitalich has come out with, Pompano Rich. We call it a Pompano Assassin, but it's an assassin, period. It eats, everything will eat that thing. It's a 3/8 ounce glitter ball jig, and it's festooned with that high quality marabou hair. It pretty much literally like breathes in the water when that thing's bouncing around.
Yeah.
Very, very sturdy, and it's got that nice little thread of mylar in the middle of it as well for extra attractiveness. Exactly. It's great for mackerel, snook, red, sea trout. Black drum will eat it. Anything, you bounce that thing in front of anything and pretty much it'll eat it. Comes in those 4 colors, orange, white, hot pink, and yellow. and just really good strong hooks on them as well. So it's just a really nice little thing.
Where do we go to find it?
PompanoRich.net, and you'll get those. He sells everything for it.
All right.
So next we have the 3D Soft Shine Glide Bait from Savage Gear. They come in 2 different sizes. I think that's the 7-inch right there, 3 ounce. Very edible size, great for a bass or just about any predatory fish. Actually, 2 to 6 foot depth on those things. They're scented, has that jointed soft body. It gives it a real nice S curve action.
Glide.
Yeah, it'll glide back and forth real slow. And if you pause, it'll just keep going that
keep
direction.
gliding that direction.
Right, exactly, on the pause. And you can walk it underwater too. You can, if you flick it, and you can make it walk back and forth right underneath the surface of the water too.
Some really cool colors.
Yeah, they use a 3D scan of the bait and use nice holographic paint on there. Just looks like a fish. What can you say? Slow sinking, amazing horizontal balance in the water as well. And go to savagegear.com to get you one of those soft shine glide baits.
There we go.
Next, we have the Bahio Calda. This is a small fit, it's for a smaller face, medium wrap, typical, it's a Wayfarer style of glasses. Strong, lightweight, bio-based frames. They don't use any petroleum products when make those nylon frames. Soft, but real grippy contact points on the nose and the temples.
Yes.
So if you're out there sweating.
See the temples in here.
Yeah, if you're out there sweating, it'll keep them stuck to your face. 4 frame colors. This is the brand new one, this peach glass matte color. Which is, it's a very pretty color. You should try them on.
Me?
Yeah. I think they look good on you. They said they looked good on me, so I can't imagine how they wouldn't look good on you, man.
I don't think I agree on this one. Normally, I look good in anything, but
7 lens colors, 100%
so much.
UV, 90%, 95% blue light. I think they do look good.
Blue blocking out all the light.
Correct. BahioSunglasses.com.
Okay,
to check
one
that
to go.
Next, we have the HMG Inshore spinning rod. I think that's a 7 foot right there.
Yes, sir. 7 foot medium fast.
Medium fast, probably 1/8 to 1 ounce. Anyway,
8 to 1 ounce.
Yeah.
You're correct. 8 to 17 pound line.
There you go.
Way to do your
15
homework,
to 30
Dave.
pound braid. Anyway, this has a 30 to 24 ton graphite blend in it with a proprietary resin. Really strong, but very light and
Very
sensitive. Excellent sensitivity and very crisp action. Tailored foregrip up here. It's really short, so you can lay your finger right on the blank. When you're retrieving. Custom made Fenwick designed handle there. Very ergonomic. Feels really good.
Feel the blank through the reel seat.
Correct.
I love it.
Correct.
Good
Titanium
job.
guide frames, zirconium inserts inside there, interlocking parts on all the handles, and really fine cork. Just gives it a great feel. It feels like it's a custom rod.
And very economically priced.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
All right, Bree.
Fenwick.
Fenwick.com.
I don't know, Rick. I think those salmon color caldas look pretty good on you.
Come on.
They don't look bad.
They don't look bad.
You'd be
They're
surprised.
Kubota orange, baby.
Oh,
be
Kubota
surprised.
Orange, that's what they are. All right, our tried and true Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn are keeping the dads happy in the Startron Middle Fresh region. And speaking of a happy pappy, let's get more info from Matt Losher. What's going on, Matt?
Just a whole bunch of fishing, Bree. We're going to talk about some big bass and a few other things, so I'll get right to it with Toledo Bend. Lots of big bass still being caught here as we enter into the summer months here on the Bend. The water level has stabilized. It's holding about 6 inches below full level now, and the temperature is holding around 80 degrees. There's a slight amount of current moving through the lake because they are still generating some water through the dam there, making that electricity, and but they're letting out about the same amount of water than what's coming in down the river. So that's why we're kind of having that steady level, but there is still some current. And so that's good news because the fish are holding in the same areas that they have been. They haven't moved much, so that makes them a little easier to find again this weekend. Those conditions have led to a consistently good bite as well. The bass are still setting up in about 10 to 20 feet of water for the most part. You've got a few coming from deeper than that, some of those bigger nomadic fish, and then you got a few that are roaming around a little bit shallower, chasing the bedding brim and hanging around on the points of grass and stuff like that. But the primary bite is definitely that 10 to 20 feet, and the Berkley crankbaits are great for that. They continue to produce really well. That Dredger series by Berkley is just awesome. They've got a Dredger series crankbait for whatever depth that you need in that 10 to 20 foot range. Just pick the one that hits the bottom depth where the fish are sitting. And I like a shad pattern right now because they're primarily keying on shad in that depth. My favorite is that chameleon shad color. That's a really good one. And another bait that's really good all summer long always is that Bass Assassin tap-out worm. The 6-inch is my favorite. And, of course, the watermelon colors are always good, along with the red bug, the June bug, and plum apple is another favorite. So just feel it out with the fish, see what they're liking day to day. You know, each day they kind of like one or the other a little better. I've also got a photo for you, Mr. Jared Primo, and he's holding up a Toledo Bend 10-pounder there. Lots of double-digit bass still coming out of Toledo Bend, even well into the summer now.
Nice.
All right, and we're going to jump over to Rayburn. So going into Sam Rayburn, the fish are pulling out more and more over there at Rayburn. The lake is finally below full now, and it's fallen pretty fast recently. It's dropped over a foot in the past 10 days. So those fish are really funneling out more and more now out towards the points and the edges of the flats as that level drops. There has even been some fish caught schooling out there. Some of them are coming to the surface, pushing those shad up. But the main deal is definitely the crankbait and the worm. Of course, the Carolina rig is always a player, too, on Rayburn. But a crankbait and Texas rig worm is really hard to beat for size and numbers as we get into this summertime pattern now. Another bait that I want to mention real quick is a football jig. You know, if you're in it for a big fish, a football jig is definitely a good one to throw. Look for those hard spots out on the flats and the points and ridges, and drag that football jig through those rough clay bottom spots. I like a bluegill color best for that. Those big bass love eating those bluegill colored football jigs out there on Rayburn. Okay, now switch over to the white bass for a minute. Touch on a lake that I haven't talked about yet this season, I don't think. The Lake Livingston. White bass fishing is always great on Livingston in the summertime, and it is excellent right now. I'm hearing that they're out on the flat points in about 6 to 15 feet of water. Spoons in white or chartreuse colors are working well for catching them there. So go load the boat up. Sam Rayburn, back to Rayburn for a minute on the white bass. They're still hanging out on the points in about 10 to 20 feet, especially up in that 103 bridge area. A little north and a little south of there is both good for the white bass there on Rayburn. Spoons or crankbaits, either one will light them up if you find them. And last but not least, touch on the crappie. We're going to jump back over to Toledo Bend for a minute on the crappie bite. It's still good in about 20 to 30 feet of water. They're starting to get out a little deeper. More and more fish showing up in that 28 and 30 foot depth. They're still using the timber, the bridge pylons, as well as the deep docks for cover. Fish are biting minnows and the Panfish Assassin jigs really well. Monkey milk has been the best color for that Panfish Assassin jig. And I got another photo for you. A little guy named Mace. He's 7 years old, and he caught himself a huge Toledo Bend slab with me this week. Got a 17-inch big white crappie there. That was a lot of fun watching him catch that one.
Cute.
Tell us about Sam
Rayburn. We're going to finish out real quick with Sam Rayburn, talking about the crappie there. Excellent bite over at Rayburn right now with that water level falling. It's pulling more and more of the big fish out there, out in 15 to 25 feet of water. Minnows are great. With the bite being so good, definitely recommend using those Panfish Assassin jigs because they're going to produce a bigger average size fish, and you can still catch a ton. So go have some fun with that.
All right, thank you so much, Matt. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine Systems hotspots. Matt says Toledo Bend continues to produce double-digit bass, and Sam Rayburn is producing high numbers with some big ones, too. And then crankbaits and worms have been best in 10 to 20 feet of water. The white bass on Rayburn and Livingston and the crappie are munching at Toledo Bend and Rayburn as well.
All right, before we send y'all into the weekend, we want to seize the social with you. So here's what we found from the Gulf, Lakes, and Creek feeds this week. Let's take a look, gentlemen.
What do we got?
What's happening? Oh, dang.
Look at my man here. Look at this dude.
And that's real. Oh my gosh, Rick, can you do any of that stuff?
I cannot do that.
I cannot.
That is world class right there.
That's insanity.
That's amazing.
World class.
And it can't even be edited, right? No, that's real.
No, that's the deal.
No, that's Sandro doing his thing.
That's the deal.
The real deal.
I'm impressed. You get
Dang.
my vote.
Wow. Remember, if you saw a reel you'd like to share and be featured on Seize the Social, just scan the QR code and drop them in our DMs.
And I'm starting my
starting
Father's
now.
Day off with Castaway Coffee, baby. That's how we're going to start the morning. And probably a little leftover birthday cake.
Why
What do you
not?
think? Yummy.
There you go.